The Pine Planters, Marty South's Reverie by Thomas Hardy. This poem goes alongside Thomas Hardy's novel The Woodlanders, which he wrote around the same time, 1909. Marty South is a character from the book The Woodlanders. She is a courageous peasant girl. Courageous means brave, and peasant girl is someone who is working class, uneducated, and works in the fields. She has always loved the main character in the book, who's called Giles, and he's an honest woodsman. Woodsman is somebody who works in the wood, cutting down trees or planting trees. She's a plain girl whose only attribute, the only good thing about her, is her beautiful hair. And she realizes that Giles loves another woman called Grace, and she doesn't love her, Marty South. And Marty South inspires the character in this poem, The Pine Planters. She is secretly working in place of her father, instead of her father, who is lying ill in bed at home. Her job, Marty South's job, is to hold the trees, the pine trees, and so she knows the woods very well. She is a plain and uneducated girl. However, she closely observes and then falls in love with her partner in work, Giles, so the person that she's working alongside. Unfortunately, Giles never comes to notice her or even recognize that she loves him, as he is in love with another character in the novel, which we've seen, Grace. This poem, The Pine Planters, focuses on unrequited love. Unrequited love means love that is not returned. So Giles does not return the love of Marty South. It also focuses on the personification of nature, which we have seen again in previous poems, and we will see again in future poems that we read. This is a recurrent theme throughout Thomas Hardy's poetry, the personification of nature. And the poem also focuses on permanence, which means that when things remain unchanged indefinitely. The title, what does it mean? The pine planters, these are pine trees here. And the pine planters means those people who plant the pine trees. Marty South's Reverie. We have just spoken about Marty South, the character from The Woodlanders, and the persona in this poem is based on Marty South. And a reverie means a daydream. This poem is divided into two sections, which you can see on your poem with the Roman numerals 1 and 2. Part 1 is, there are quatrains in part 1. That is, there are 4-line stanzas. And then in part 2, it goes on to 12-line stanzas. And throughout part 1, you'll see that the rhyme scheme is the same. And throughout part 2, the rhyme scheme changes, but it's the same throughout part 2. Okay. We work here together in blast and breeze. He fills the earth in, I hold the trees. Blast is a strong gust of wind, and breeze is a gentle wind. So we work here together in all different kinds of weathers. He plants the trees while she holds them. You can see just from this very first stanza that the language is very simple, very basic. There are 2 new words in here, but throughout the whole poem, particularly in part 1, you will see how simple the language is. And very simple phrases are used as well. We work here together, very simple. I hold the trees, again, very simple. If you compare this to some of Thomas Hardy's other poetry that we've looked at, in which the words are very complicated and the sentence structure is very complicated, you'll see how simple this is. We'll talk later on about why this is the case. He does not notice that what I do keeps me from moving and chills me through. Chills means two things: to make cold, to chill, or to horrify. He has seen one fairer, I feel by his eye, which skims me as though I were not by. He has seen somebody more beautiful, and she can tell this, which skims me. He looks over her very quickly. He doesn't even notice her. He doesn't even notice Marty South. He looks over her quickly as though she weren't nearby. And since she passed here, he scarce has known, but that the woodland holds him alone. Scarce means hardly at all. He hardly knows. But that the woodland is land covered with trees. I have worked here with him since morning shine. He busy with his thoughts, and I with mine. So they've worked there together in the wood since sunrise. He's busy with his thoughts, and she's busy with her thoughts. They're both inside their own heads, not really interacting very much. I have helped him so many days, but never win any small word of praise. Praise is the expression of approval or admiration. Basically a well done, good job. So she's helped him throughout many days, but he never even gives her a word of praise, a well done. Okay, you can see here that the rhyme scheme is A, B, C, B, because days and praise rhymes. And this A, B, C, B rhyme scheme is the same throughout part 1. Shall I not sigh to him that I work on, glad to be nigh to him, though hope is gone? A sigh is a long, deep, audible expression of sadness. Basically, it's, oh. So, nigh means nearby. Shall I not say to him that I work on, that I continue working, happy just to be close to him, even though her hope is gone? She knows that he doesn't love her, that her love is unrequited. Nay, though he never knew love like mine, I'll bear it ever and make no sign. Nay means no. This is an archaic word. No, though he never knew love like mine. Even though he doesn't realize that she loves him, he will never know love like hers because her love was so strong for him. I'll bear it ever. She'll always hold it inside herself, and she won't show him any sign of her love. She'll never tell him. Part 2. This is where the structure changes from quatrains to 12-line stanzas. I have divided the stanzas into 6 on this slide just for ease. From the bundle at hand here I take each tree and set it to stand here, always to be, when in a second, as if from fear. Bundle is a collection of things that are rolled up together, and at hand means in her hands. So she is holding the trees, a collection of trees together in her hand. And she takes it out and stands the tree up. Always, and set it to stand here, always to be. The tree will always be there. That is the permanence of nature. When in a second, as if from fear. If you take a look at the rhyme scheme here, it is here, A, B, A, B, C, A, because fear rhymes with here and here. Of life unreckoned, beginning here, it starts a sighing through day and night, though while they're lying, 'twas voiceless quite. Unreckoned means unknown. Beginning here, it starts a sighing. To sigh, we've seen before, earlier on in this poem. He's added a sighing, to make the line have 5 syllables. We often see this in poetry. Add in a to make up the syllables. So it starts a sighing, 5 syllables. Through day and night, though while they're lying, 'twas voiceless quite. 'Twas means it was. Same as with a sighing. He has changed it from it was, 2 syllables, to 1 syllable, 'twas, because he wants the line to have, Thomas Hardy wants the line to have 4 syllables. 'Twas voiceless quite. So it was without a voice. It was silent. It will sigh in the morning, will sigh at noon, at the winter's warning, in wafts of June, grieving that never kind fate decreed. For sigh, see the previous definition. It will sigh in the morning and at noon, and the winter's warning. Winter's warning are the first signs of winter, when it starts to get colder. And wafts of June, gentle movement of air is wafts. So that is when we can smell the summer in the air. Grieving is a feeling of intense sorrow about something that never kind fate decreed. Fate is when events are predetermined by supernatural power. Decreed is the past tense of decree, to order. So grieving that never kind fate. Kind is an adjective to go with fate, so that fate ordered. It should forever remain a seed, and shun the welter of things without, unneeding shelter from storm and drought. To shun is to persistently ignore or avoid. So it has avoided the welter. And welter is a confused mass of things without. It doesn't need shelter. It doesn't need protection from either the storm or the drought. Drought is a long period of low or no rainfall, which leads to a shortage of water, which I'm sure you all know from geography. Thus, all unknowing for whom or what we set it growing in this bleak spot, it still will grieve here throughout its time. Unknowing is to not know. For whom or what, it doesn't know for who or what. We make it grow in this bleak spot. Bleak is exposed or cold and miserable. It still will grieve here. It will still feel intense sorrow throughout its time. Unable to leave here or change its clime. It's not able to leave and it's not able to change its climate. Or tell the story of us today, when halt and hoary we pass away. It cannot tell the story. When, lame and limping, halt is an archaic word, and hoary, overused, unoriginal, or not fresh. We pass away. I didn't add the definition here, but pass away is a euphemism for dying. Okay, that is the Pine Planters, the definitions, and the overview.